Nobody is above the law. And because nobody is above the law, the former president of the Republic of Zambia, Dr. Edgar Lungu, is not above the law. This process of fighting against corruption and the asset recovery mission must also trickle down to him. We hold the view that the SCC, the Drug Enforcement Commission, the police, must also investigate him. Because some of these assets that we want to recover, who knows, maybe they might be in the hands of him. When we are fighting against corruption, comrades, who knows, he might be the person that is involved in acts of corruption, acts of criminality. So we know that there is what is called the immunity clause, which protects former presidents. But we are saying that there is also a provision in the laws of this country that parliamentarians can table that motion before the floor of parliament, and the immunity can be lifted. If the majority of MPs in parliament, they vote that his immunity should be lifted, then that will happen. Then what happens from there is that the ACC, the Drug Enforcement Commission, the police, they will move in to start investigating him. We as Zambian people, comrades, are aware about how former President Edgar Lungu violated the constitution with impunity. There is a punitive action and a penalty to he who violates the constitution, especially sitting as the president of this country. Former President Edgar Lungu, at some point, ordered that ministers should stay in office. And when that happened, the ministers stayed in office and they were drawing salaries. That was what he did was against the constitution. What does the law say on a president who violates the constitution? That is an offense. He abused power. He was mentioned in international scandals where he was mentioned that he was sponsoring a terrorist group in Rwanda. A witness in the Rwandan courts testified that they received funding from former President Edgar Lungu. We want to know. We want to know about how you ordered ministers to sign on documents which was unconstitutional, how they borrowed money unconstitutionally. We want to know about the fire tenders. We want to know about the presidential jet. We want to know about the Anibi saga. I want to tell you, comrade, that
how is he, the president, responsible for the Honeybee saga when, this conversation was being had? He was nowhere mentioned.
I want to tell you, comrade, that many of these ministers, former ministers, did a lot of things at the order, at the directive of that man, the former president, Edgar Lungu.
And you say this because you have evidence?
What I want to tell you, comrade, is that there are many, many Zambians, including myself, who have evidence against the former president Edgar Lungu. But do you know why? Why we cannot advance that evidence? Our hands are tied.
By who?
By the law that protects him. He has this immunity. Today, comrade, if I have got evidence against the former president Edgar Lungu, I cannot even go to the court. I cannot even go to the police to say on such and such a date he did this and this is my evidence. I want to put it on record here. Today, that I will be the first people to testify in the courts of law against the former president Edgar Lungu with the evidence that I have. I have the evidence, but my hands are tied. There are many people like me who have evidence against former president Edgar Lungu, but they can't come out because the law is hiding him in the immunity clause. This also takes me to the point that going forward in the future, we must remove the immunity clause. When someone serves as a president and that person leaves power, we must investigate that person. It has been done in other countries. South Africa has given us an example. They took Jacob Zuma before the courts, investigated him, and he was found guilty and convicted. Why should we, heroize? Why should we create sacred cows and say because you have been a president you cannot be investigated? Did you know, comrade, that today if President Hakainde Ichirema shot somebody, he cannot be arrested or dealt with even after he has come out of power, because there'll be a law called the immunity clause that will be, protecting him. We are saying that on Friday this week, we are going to deliver a petition to the parliamentarians. We are going to write a letter which is already ready to serve parliamentarians to consider tabling the motion of removing former President Edgar Chagwa-Lungu's immunity, so that we can investigate the houses that he has built in Swaziland. We can investigate the fraudulent contracts that were given to people that do not qualify. We can investigate the abuse of office when they were getting government vehicles to take into campaigns, where they were getting the DMMU, Minimu, taken into campaigns, when they were signing orders unconstitutional, when he was promoting hate speech, because even in the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia, hate speech is a criminal offense. Tribalism remarks, they are criminal offense. Abuse of office. President Edgar Chagwa-Lungu, former President Edgar Chagwa-Lungu, for me, among the people that will be investigated, who were in the former government, is the number one culprit. Is a chief architect of corruption. Former President Edgar Chagwa-Lungu, he is the number one person that must be investigated. Is he one of his fellow officials that are in the PF by the name of Dr. Chishimba Kambwiri, who is now eyeing to be the president of PF, came out in the open and they told us about the wealth that former President Edgar Chagwa-Lungu has, the filling stations that former President Edgar Chagwa-Lungu has built, and how much money that he had from the time that he stood as a president in 2016 and the money that he has now. It was alleged that the man had amassed a lot of wealth, which was unaccounted for, because when you take it, we compare his salary and the businesses and everything and the assets, they don't tally. So what we are saying, comrade, is that we want to investigate this man.
You've talked about this particular clause requiring a majority of parliamentarians for it, to even be considered, the action of lifting of the president's immunity. Now, you as a party do have the majority in parliament, but you do not have the threshold required. You need about 2/3, which will mean even if you were to get all independents, if they were to side with you, which I don't think all of them would, you still would not, get the required number. You need people from the Patriotic Front, the members of parliament from the Patriotic Front, to be able to crucify their master. Do you think they have the wit to do such an action?
We are saying that when the debate begins on the issue of lifting his immunity, people will be voting as individuals. MPs will be voting as individuals. There are people, there are MPs in the PF right now as I speak to you, who have technically joined UPND. But they cannot defect and join UPND because they are afraid of causing a by-election. We are in talks with many of them that have come to us and told us that we were used. Forgive us. Some of them have come and told us that we are with you. We were afraid of coming out. 2026 will be together on the ballot. We are in talks with a lot of them. Members of parliament from the independent, there are a lot. 3/3 majority, I want to assure you, especially where lifting former President Edgar Chagwa-Lungu's immunity is concerned, there will be overwhelming vote. People were suffocated. Mavutoye was talking about the city market. When former President Edgar Chagwa-Lungu heard about the banning of city market, he came on the ground. He came all the way from whichever country he was in and assured the Zambian people that they knew who had banned city market. Today things have gone quiet. The people were gassing us. All these people, even including President Edgar Chagwa-Lungu, do you know that when a vice president makes pronouncements, it means that even the president is aware of those, they have sat together in one meeting. Whatever the vice president spoke about the gassing, about city market, it means that even former President Edgar Chagwa-Lungu was aware. We want these people to be tried before the courts of law. We want the police to go to their houses. We want ACC to investigate their dealings. We want the Drug Enforcement Commission to come in and investigate. We also want to the Financial Intelligence Center, which has now been given power by the new Dawn government, to start investigating the financial flows, the financial, their financial life, to start auditing them. This is what we want. Nobody is above the law, comrades. I want to tell you one thing, that in this country, we are making a mistake. The mistake that we are making, actually, when constitutional reforms will start, one of the things that we'll deal with is that the immunity clause must be removed. There is just no way that you come out of power. People know about many things you've done. There's a law that protects you. For what? You and me are aware about how we suffered in the opposition. Doing nothing, you have done nothing. You are thrown in jail. You are thrown in custody. What is wrong with us getting ACC, getting the police to start looking into the dealings of former President Edgar Chagwalu? And I want to assure you, the moment former President Edgar Chagwalungu's immunity to be lifted, there will be 1,000 crimes committed. And if this agenda is not going to be tabled in Zambia, some of us who are passionate about him, we are going to write to the International Criminal Court, ICC, to begin opening a docket for him. Because we feel that our country is letting us down. When they know that this man was corrupt, do you know the reason why the Zambian people voted against President Edgar Chagwalungu, former President Edgar Chagwalungu, in numbers? 2.8 million. They knew this man was bitter. This man was corrupt. This man had committed a lot of scandals. And many of the people, when we start investigating them, the ministers, before the courts, do you know what they will say? It's not me. I received orders from the president. You ask this permanent secretary or this one, who told you to switch off internet? The director of Zicta, who will say, I received orders from the head of state. Tell me, comrade, who would shut down internet in a particular country without receiving blessings from the president? For the first time in the history of our country, internet was shut down. Who told the Zicta director to shut down internet? It's a minister. The minister will say, I received orders from the president.
I will not engage
that's what it happens.
In the Zicta conversation and that shutdown, because the matter is yet to be disposed of court. But then there has been a similar action taken by the country. Successful lifting of a former president's immunity was done when President Chiluba's immunity was lifted. What did the country benefit from lifting President Chiluba's immunity, and is that really what we should expect if indeed your proposed action is considered?
Many people argue and say we lost a lot of money at a particular time that we investigated, we lifted the immunity of former President Jacob Titus Chilo, but we hold a different view. And that view is that we made tremendous progress because, one, we set a precedence that there is nobody who is above the law. Even as a former head of state, you are found in corruption, you are investigated, you are tried before the courts, and it moves on and on like that. And I want to assure you that the corruption that was in the MMD government during the reign of Frederick Jacob Titus Chilo was lesser compared to the corruption that we saw in the PF. Because even the manner in which the MMT government at the time of Frederick Chilwa borrowed is not the same compared to the way that the PF borrowed. It's not the same corruption as we saw in the PF, where they even recruited ghost workers. That ghost workers they recruited, they gave them fake letters, as we are speaking about teachers. Now, we made progress in a way that assets were recovered. Up to now, we had houses, we had flats here, notable flats in Lord's Park, notable flats in Kablonga that were forfeited to the state. They were in the hands, in the name of Frederick Churu. They were forfeited to the state, they were grabbed, they were forfeited to the state. We made tremendous progress. Certain accounts which some of these people, including himself, had, they were freezed. That was the progress we made. We made history. We made history that even a president who sits there is not immune to investigations. Now, what is wrong with us lifting the immunity of former President Edgar Chagwalungu? I want to tell you that the Zambian people, we have made wider consultation. The Zambian people, comrade, are This is what they've been waiting for. They want the immunity of former President Edgar Lungu to be lifted so that we can pave way for investigations. We can pave way for ACC, for Drug Enforcement Commission, for Financial Intelligence Center, the police itself, to arrest him. Okay, that is what it is. That is what we want. And on Friday, I want to encourage all well-meaning citizens who want to join us to go and deliver this petition to escort us. We were suffocating, we were dying, many were imprisoned without committing crimes. Many people were beaten, tortured.
I will ask this last question as we wind up this interview. Other voices will suggest you are being funded by a certain group. Are you being funded to champion this, initiative?
It doesn't matter.
Are you
I
being
want
funded?
to tell you, comrade, that it doesn't matter whether I'm being funded or not. The issue is that, look, if I'm being funded to champion a noble cause, such as this one, then so let it be it. If I'm not being funded to champion this agenda, let it be it, provided that the outcomes of this action will culminate into a precedence being set. Our friends in other countries like South Africa and other countries are doing it. Former presidents are being tried. When they are found guilty, they are sent to prison. That's what we must do. It doesn't matter if I'm being funded by UPND or I'm being funded by Zambians. It doesn't matter. What matters is that there is an agenda of a corrupt man in the name of Edgar Lungu, in the name of a former president who must be tried before the courts of law equally like any other person. Let me tell you that if the ACC managed to go to Max Chongo's house and confiscated land cruisers on an account that those were proceeds of crime, what is wrong with the ACC going to former President Edgar Lungu's house and going there at his house to investigate? If a person who was not in government, who was not holding a senior position like Faith Msonda, would be found with 65 million kwacha in his house, what more are we going to find if we make a step, just one step, comrade? And I can challenge the police, I can challenge the ACC, just one step to go at that man's house.
Which man?
The Edgar Lungu's house. You will see what will come out. Let us move in that direction. You will see there will be great things, there will be great achievements that will come out. Because files will be opened and a lot of things. Even me, I'm assuring the Zambian people, I have evidence against him. Then let us remove his immunity. I will submit that evidence. I have it. But right now my hands are tight. Why? He has his immunity. I cannot even take him to the court. I cannot take him to the police. And there are a lot of Zambians who have such evidence. We have them here with us.
Mr. Kwanya, thank you very much for having made time to join us for the breakfast show this morning.
Thank you so much.
We wish you the best as you endeavor on that very, I want to find the right way of describing it, but on that
noble mission.
It's noble. It's noble in your eyes, not so noble in some other people's eyes. So in your eyes, that noble mission. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right.
We take this short break. When we are back, we're joined by Ziale, and we get to look at a number of advancements that have been made. You don't want to miss this interview. Join us on the other side. Good morning.